Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Blue. This is CastNauts. Pilot episode, surprisingly. So hey, hopefully it goes well. If it doesn't, feel free to call me a tosser for it. It's cool. We got a replay sent in by Mr. I'm sorry, I actually do not know how to pronounce that because it's kind of a weird symbol. But we'll see it in game, and you will learn to learn this symbol. So let's head on into this replay. It is on Sorona. And let's see what each team has.
Paradise bird, that's for true.
So on the red team, on the red team, there's a Rocco, played by Juan, and Ayla, played by Jasmine is the Bomb, and a Ulip, played by Bishi. Quite a, I was about to say push-heavy team, but it's more of a weird mixture between assassins and push, with Rocco kind of filling the more push-centric thing, with Ulip more as an area denial pusher. So that will be pretty interesting to see how they go. On the blue team, we have Metroid 9, playing Ksenia, N213 playing Leon, and a symbol that looks like a backwards 3 who sent in the replay. So thanks, dude. I really appreciate it. Playing Penny. I also not sure how I would be supposed to match that, so I'm gonna just say backwards 3 for now. I apologize. But yeah, so let's get the build up. Let's see what everyone starts off with. Rocco's starting off with badge and gun. Not entirely sure why, to be honest. He's not fighting any particular, summoners. He's not fighting Voltar, he's not fighting Gnaw. So it's interesting to see why badge and gun. Maybe he just wants to be more impressive with middle. Maybe hitting droids around here. Ayla picking up Toothbrush Shank right out of the gate. I can see why, to be honest. She's with a Ulip. He's gonna be holding targets for her, despite even though they're gonna be, quite mobile targets. But of course, they are always, quite squishy targets as well. Let's see, so Ulip, peeking Dino Poop, is an interesting start, gives his team a sustain, team's a bit squishy, no dedicated healer, not a lot of tank going on. So yeah, it would make sense why he would start off with Dino Poop. Maybe Laboratory Centrifuge might be a bit better, but I can see why he would go for Dino Poop. More so just because of, it also adds area denial. Like, it benefits his area denial, which is going to be really good for keeping these fast-hitting assassins back.
I can adjust that spine if you'd like.
The blue team, Penny starting off with double stages regen, just makes sense to be honest. It's good to get early, and especially against something like a Rocco where he's going to be poking a lot. Same stuff with Leon. Same thing, makes sense. Very nice initiation start off there with the Ulip landing a very nice eye, and the entire team just collapsing on top of the Penny. Followed by a very nice eye. Ayla getting the work done with the Toothbrush Shank. It's going to be good early game against these quite squishy assassins. Ksenia starting off with Laser Blade Scissors and Piggying, oddly. It's not second stage though, unless that's a visual bug, which I very much want to see. So she's going for the damage, which makes sense. She needs to get her farm on, and what better way to get farm on against squishies than by building damage.
Excuse me, these guys are all over me.
Eula picking up time traveling flipper? I do not remember that. Relatively flipper. I think actually picking up the second stage there, so I'm not sure what the piggy was about. Picking up relatively slipper, another really good upgrade for him in this situation, just because they're all fast-hitting assassins, so standing still isn't going to be his strong suit, so he might as well be able to get away when he's done. Penny a little bit overextending there, kind of let the Ayla get nearer, and unfortunately it is going to result in her death. Like, let's go back and have a quick view of that here, from the Penny's point of view. So she's hanging out with her team, right? And the Ayla just went for her. Now, does Penny have... No, Penny has no charges, and her cancel was on cooldown anyway, so I doubt she would have been able to escape, but I do think she should have been a little bit more careful along with... I'm going to go back one more time, because I would like to see where her team was in position during this. They were actually on bottom lane, so they did respond, actually. Does Leon have the tongue? Leon does not have the tongue, sadly. So it did actually result in just poor cooldown timing. Not something that the blue team really could have done anything about, but it was just a poor timing for the blue team, sadly. Red team slowly making its push onto mid. Badge and gun doing its fair share of work, but I still think something else would have been good. Ayla getting the really nice pickup. Actually, with Rocco got the kill, my bad. But Ayla doing most of the DPS with Rocco there, supporting fire, that's going to be they have a lot of power coming out early game, so it's going to be really interesting to see if they can spiral off it, or if the late games of all these assassin nuts will kick in on the blue team. Rocco picking up Cocklights first, just for a bit more AA damage.
My clever girl.
You know, he wants to fight hard. You know, he wants to like, he's been doing good right now. He's 3-0. He wants to get a bit more damage since the enemy team haven't got any pills yet. They're saying they have his Medican. So it makes sense why he would build more damage in this situation to try and just, you know, capitalize on the fact that the blue team is mostly made up of squishy assassins, you know? It's gonna be hard for the blue team to really engage into a team like this, especially with Eulip manning the backland. Backland? Yes. You know, like, it's like, say the Ksenia, you know, rolls in, you know, she's ready to get a silence off, and then the Eulip just snares her. It's gonna be really difficult. Leon picking up backstab in this situation. Once again, it just makes sense to build damage, but it also makes sense at this point to consider maybe some sort of sustain. Well, not more sustain, but more something more tanky. You know, maybe you want to go, you know, maybe just like a bit of pills early. You know, that could make the world a difference, especially against Azala. Like, you know, because like, you know, more pills, you know, higher odds you're going to escape after Ayla goes in. Because once she's in, she ain't probably going to come out until you're either dead, you're gone, or she's low enough to bail out. You know, Ayla's not really known for her poking skills in terms of rage. So getting pills won't be the worst idea. Penny picking up Herring Snack Badge, which is a good pick in this situation. It's always a good item to have. It just lets Penny do her job easier. You know, she doesn't have to worry about her health as much, while still having to worry about it enough. Eulip overextending in this situation, and he got very lucky that the tongue missed. To be honest, if Leon had landed that tongue, I don't think that Eulip would have made it out alive. He really shouldn't have gone in there.
Oh, I forgot to bring something.
It was not a smart decision. Ayla picking up Super Attack 2 and Fake Family Picture, so she's going really hard into this eye damage, and I think it's a good thing to be doing, to be honest. You know, it's working out for her. You know, once again, I keep saying it, but the enemy team is mostly made up of squishies. Ayla, actually, is she going to escape? Yes, she is going to escape due to the Eulip. Just body blocking, and a really nice, you know, just juke on the Ayla from the Leon. Yeah, but Ayla going really hard into this eye damage. I think she needs it, to be honest, because, like, what is the team doing? Well, Rocco is building triple arrow, and he's got, you know, more damage, and he's got AoE. Okay, so not a lot of, you know, setup for her there. Not, like, more so, he'll be really useful, if anything, for finishing off and dealing damage in team fights. Then Ayla following up with another stage of Fake Family Picture, unfortunately getting pulled in there, and I think that's what the Leon really needs to be focusing on, but he needs to be focusing on his ton, pulling this Ayla out of position and trying to farm off her squishiness in the early game. She doesn't have any sort of sustain yet, which at this point in the game she really needs to consider, regardless of if she's stomping or not. You know, Ayla is just that kind of nut. She's just that squishy for what she is. Regardless of any point in the game, if she doesn't have pills by at least mid-game, she's probably not going to be able to win most team fights. She's probably not going to be able to live most team fights. Picking up BKM here doesn't make sense, to be honest. At most, it's going to be affecting this Ksenia, who doesn't seem to have any preference for building Vanish in this situation. Not to say it couldn't work, but once again, it poses the issue of the Eulip just, you know, eyeing her. And now even more so now that he's got Whisk. You know, that dot's going to make Ksenia's life really hard for actually, you know, initiating backline. So she's right to build scissor damage, to be honest. You know, it's the closest thing to long-range folks are going to have. Unfortunately, the Rocco had to jump in that situation, but it's a good reaction, so we can't really knock him for it. So it was a good gank on the Leon's part. Leon actually picking up second stage of backstab right now, which is good. Let me just go back and see that. I actually did miss that fight with the Penny here. So Penny getting a bit worn down, but that's what happened. So she got a bit worn down by the dinos, and then the sudden eye damage from Ayla, which is working. It's working quite well. You know, she's 3-1. She's positive KD. She has a bit of, you know, kills under her belt early game. It's good for Ayla to have this in the situation. Unfortunately for Leon, he did take the brunt of the eye, and that's where we really need to be considering what they're going to do in this situation. It's either going to be more sustain, or we need to have some way to mitigate the damage. So, pills, hell, even, is Pinot Noir? The health regen upgrade on stealth. I believe it is Pinot Noir. And in even rarer situation, but it can still work. Maybe not as effectively, but, you know, it depends on a lot of, it just depends on how you use it. Health droids. I would say health droids? I can't remember if that's even a thing anymore. I believe it is. Yeah, health clones. You know, like, you see Ayla coming in, maybe drop a clone and bail out. Maybe she'll hit if she hits it, then that's good, you know. The clone tanks it and you're still at full health. Leon picking up Silence Tongue in this situation is very good for his team because it's going to allow them to actually initiate into the enemy team if they even land the tongue in there. Maybe wants to pick up Stretchy Tongue at some point, but it's very... You could also easily go for just, you know, straight up damage tongue and have a good time. Penny picking up Starstorm Statue, getting a bit of damage out there. It's good. Yep, makes sense to be honest. She needs that damage. She needs to farm. Just makes sense for the Penny in this situation. She needs to farm. She needs to, you know, be able to deal enough damage for her team. Maybe not Starstorm Statue is the best option, but it's still pretty good. Leon is actually doing really well with his backstab in this situation. You know, the enemy team, like, they're quite squishy, so in most situations they see a Leon, they're probably going to run just to do how much DPS he's going to be able to put out with the backstab, which just lets him put out more DPS, so it's working out for this Leon. Picking up slowing on... Is this slowing? I do not remember. Yes, this is slowing. Picking up slowing on Scissors is a really good idea. Basically, more CC. The more CC that blue team can put out against this sort of comp that's really oppressive, really hard to approach, the better. Because it's gonna actually enable them to really get in there and stick around in team fights. You know, you try and... You know, you engage a team fight, and then the Ayla comes in, well, okay, well, she's slowed. Maybe you think you even want to consider knockback Scissors, if anything, for the Ayla, but that can also have a downside with stuff like the Rocco, which lets him just kite even easier. Unfortunately, Ksenia getting hit by the gaze there, and that's really going to also be a big deciding factor in team fights right now, is the gaze. Gaze is going to be just such an incredible tool because no one's really relying on each other from the blue team in team fights. You know, there's no, like, there's teamwork, but it's not, like, going to be, like, teamwork that's going to win the team fight. It's more who's going to outdamage who in this specific situation. The closest within we're going to actually get the teamwork is more so Leon tonguing someone in and then the entire team collapsing on said person, which is really what this Leon needs to be polarizing. You know, maybe getting Stretchy Tongue, maybe getting, you know, just, like, even Morningstar piercing. Basically anything to capitalize, to help his team capitalize on pulling someone in. Maxing out Silence on right now is very good. Attack speed, I'm not entirely sure of. You know, I think I can understand the logic why. You know, he's getting a lot of backstabs in. He's been getting a lot of kills in. Yola, can you please stop repeating your own voice lines? Thank you. Yeah, like, it makes sense why he would take attack speed in this game, but I don't think it's the right decision. I think if he wants to build AA at this point in the game, maybe Lifesteal. If anything, you know, maybe Lifesteal, maybe he just wants to go Chainsaw at him, you know, for a bit more damage. Maybe he wants to go Clover Amana for a bit more damage. Unfortunately for the Ksenia, she did get eyed after rolling out. It was a bad move on her part. Let's go back and see this again. You know, so, like, you know, Ksenia, she's Lifestealing the droids. You know, she rolls out, and then that was the mistake. You know, she, like, we go back again. You know, we go back again, we can actually watch this Ksenia's health. She has no health, she knows the Ayla has eye damage and Beg Family Pictures. Ayla is quite low on health, that'll probably almost one-shot her from full health. You know, it was a really bad move with the Z-Bar. She shouldn't have gone out. If she wanted to, she probably wants to get Virtual World to do so. But even then, that's a really bad use of Virtual Girl.
My genius, I see.
You know, using it to dodge an eye, now that would be useful, but using it just to get out there, I'm not sure why she even rolled in the first place.
Will be so proud.
I forgot to bring
Everyone! So many people picking up pills at this point in the game, and it really makes sense why, especially the Eula and Ayla. You know, they're both very squishy, and they both need pills to survive. It's just a fact that they're not, especially Ayla. So I'm happy that Ayla did decide to pick it up. Not sure why she picked up Lifesteal on, AA. Not Rage, God no. Yeah, like, and then follows it up by Regen. I think Regen is just gonna be better for overall. Hell, even SKB is just gonna be better than Lifesteal on AA. Especially when she already has the Eula with Lavatory Centrifuge and Dino Poop. I just don't think that Lifesteal is necessary in this situation for the Ayla. It's just a waste of solar, in my honest opinion. You know, it's 180 solar. What can you buy for 180 solar on Ayla? Well, you can get pretty damn close to Dot on Eye. That's pretty good. You can get, I think you can get speed or size on Rage. Both very useful upgrades, especially against knots like this, where more size is going to be really useful for your team in team fights. Unfortunately, right now, the Eulip is really being incredibly polarizing in these team fights, and something needs to be done about him. And I don't think really anything can be done about him, aside from maybe... Well, Leon tonguing him, obviously. Leon tonguing him out, dealing with him, but he's sticking in the back, so that's not going to be incredibly plausible. Maybe, Penny maybe building a bit more pulse damage, pierce through the enemies, then Leon or Ksenia could possibly jump in from behind, but that required more teamwork. You know, that would require more teamwork, and I'm... not to say that these people cannot, you know, communicate teamwork. I'm sure they can. And more so in a solo queue environment, which I presume this is, I actually do not know. it's unlikely that in a solo queue environment you're going to be able to set something up like that, where a Leon tongues someone or a Penny pulls to someone, and then the other teammate ganks them in the middle of a team fight. You know, it's unlikely as a scenario. It's very unlikely.
Extend.
Penny picking up pounce damage. I don't think she really needs pounce damage. You know, that would require her to actually get close enough for pounce to hit, and this is not a team you can approach, especially now, late game. Now that, well, getting close to late game, more mid game, but you get the gist. Rocco with nicotine patch, so he's gonna be popping those precision shots just like candy during all team fights, you know, because he's gonna be quite close to Rocco. Seems to be having good aim with his precision shots, so it just makes sense why he would be popping it. Just use Hawk Bomb, so he's gonna be shooting him even faster, along with Sim Stash. You know, it's just like this Rocco, he's going for like a quite heavy precision shot build, yet strangely hasn't actually built any precision shot damage. Maybe that's his natural upgrade, who knows. Unfortunately, this Julep though is really carrying the team. You know, he's being the support the team needs. He's being the single target, like, you know, power that the red team needs, and it's really just making it incredibly difficult for blue team. Once again, and I know I'm sounding like a repeating record, composed of squishy assassins is just incredibly polarizing.
So, what are your holiday plans?
Leon picking up walking clones, not really sure why, to be honest, because, you know, the clones, first of all, they're quite weak. You know, they're not going to be actually doing missing the ton, unfortunately. But the the clones, they're quite weak. It's gonna be incredibly hard for them to even get out there, you know, especially with the Zayla, who's actually building over a build quite possibly now. Even harder now that the Julep is just taking up Bunny Burner. You know, he could probably take Labrash and just make it impossible for the clones to really do anything. Rocco building quick draw bow for a bit more DPS. I'm not sure if the quick draw bow arrows trigger, you know, the fuse Hawk Bomb. If they do, then he's going for, like, you know, the full cojones build. But he's leaving it way too late, in my opinion, the Rocco. Like, he's building for precision shot, but I'm not sure if precision shot is going to be all that good when, you know, you don't have any damage for it. When it's not even going to be moving that fast, so it's not even going to be a great sniping tool. If anything, I'm still not entirely sure why. That was also a very nice precision shot, very good prediction. I'm still not entirely sure why he took AoE. You know, it's not going to be incredibly useful in the situation, bar the early game. So I guess it makes sense why he took it early, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around why he would take it at all against this comp, you know? Like, you're fighting, like, you know, a Leon, a Ksenia, and a Penny. You know, the most thing you're going to be hitting is going to be droids and the clones. Maybe Leon wanted to consider getting the clone health upgrade. You know, that might have actually been help his clones out a bit. You know, put him in mid, and then suddenly, you know, he's got a little party going on. Ayla finally picking up Angry Drawings, and to be honest, this is just gonna be a steamroll for the Ayla at this point. She's got her build up, she's got, you know, really good team fight CC going on with her in the form of Julep. You know, really good setup from the Rocco. It's just a really powerful comp that's gonna be hard to beat down. Luckily that they were able to target her out in a team fight, but it's not going to be enough without this Julep down. But red team actually getting wiped out due to the superior mobility of the blue team. Let's actually look at this again. So Leon goes up to the jungle and tries. Penny baits them out, maybe not on purpose, but it did actually give the team enough, you know, damage out on there with the pulse to take down the Julep and the Rocco. It was a good, effective team fight, and that's what they need to be doing more. They need to be targeting out those who are weak, not those who are at full health, where they seem to be going for the Julep and in rushing him and just getting eyes. If they can continue this up, then the blue team have a really good chance to do so. But they do need to be focusing more on the Julep and team fights, along with making sure keeping this Ayla at bay, which I would still recommend it. Knockback scissors to do this would actually be an effective means of doing so. Ayla doesn't have BKM. Ayla doesn't have... Actually, no, she does have speed. My bad. I thought she had size. Ayla, like at most she has size, but that's just going to make it harder for her to control her momentum with the knockback. Unfortunately, Leon getting a bit stuck there between the Ayla and the Rocco, so it didn't give him the best situation to get out of there in. I actually didn't know that was a shield. Yeah, this is a Pancake 3D printer. I didn't actually know it was a shield now. That's cool. Yeah, Pancake 3D printer, very useful upgrade for Julep to have at this point in the game. You know, everyone's building damage. Ksenia building silence duration. Leon building Morningstar Piercing, but I think the Morningstar Piercing is coming in way too late. Like, it really should have come in around this point in the build, maybe even after basic AI chip. I still don't understand why he would build Sharp Red Rages in this situation, you know? Like, you could say for clear, but he already bought the clone, so he's already going to be clearing a bit more effectively. And now let's go back, because I stopped paying attention for the exact moment that everything went well. They're actually getting the good initiation on the Eula with the tongue and the pulse. Leon getting the walking clone kill on the Rocco, and now, unfortunately, Ayla being able to pick up the kill on the Ksenia, but that's only due to how much sheer health she has.
Right?
So what do we need? What do they need to break this Ayla? Well, they need damage, but they also need CC. Maybe Penny picking you up. What is it called? Sentient Rock. You know, getting some silence out there. Even more silence. More silence is good. Every member on the blue team can have silence. It would help them a lot in team fight if they can all capitalize on the fact that they can just disable their enemy's strength. Like a double silence, like, you know, tongue in, pulse, and then suddenly this Eulip is probably going to die, if anything, just from the amp damage. Actually, in the order, it would probably be pulse and then tongue just for the amp damage, but you get the gist.
Is happening. It better not be.
Continue picking a Virtual Girl. It makes sense, to be honest. You know, she's getting to that point in the game where she probably she's probably gonna have more options to actually use Virtual Girl at this point. Leon actually getting the really nice tongue on the Rocco there. Rocco did overextend, sadly. Let's have a quick look back at this. Of this Rocco. You know, he comes in on 2v1, and then he just gets destroyed. You know, let me go back. At what point did this Eulip die? So he was battling with the Eulip on the Leon, and then Penny comes in. Well, he really should have taken this as a sign to bail out instead of trying to kite out. If anything, I'm not sure why he jumped back to the right. He really should have jumped up and then attempted to go through the jungle. Because the Leon, all he thought was him go off in this direction. So it's quite likely he's going to be coming up here. And it's quite easy to actually just jump up through someone and then just through your thing. Even especially if it's a Leon when he's melee range. But it was another good team fight for the blue team. They have the late game power. They can pull this back quite easily.
Poacher retreats under attack.
All it's going to take is proper use of their CC. I still think that maybe Penny taking up Silence Pulse a bit earlier might have been a you know, a good pick early game, but it's got to that point in the game where the Leon is actually able to keep up the team fight damage along with the Ksenia with her silence duration. And Frog Afro. You know, that's gonna be Frog Afro is gonna be really useful for actually like fighting, like ending team fights. Penny picking up Bug Jars. It's too late in the game, to be honest. He really shouldn't have taken Chicken in the lunchbox this late. Or, well, you know what I mean. I think Bug Jars earlier would have been really useful, once again, considering as the red team is quite squishy. As are both teams, really. You know, both teams are quite squishy. Building Burst isn't a bad idea in this situation. Ayla, once again, starting off with I. Good decision. Rocco, once again, starting off with Hawkflex first. Good decision. Eulip actually just slightly screwing himself in that teamfight capacity, but it actually worked out for the red team as it gave the Ayla enough opportunity to properly, you know, deal her rage damage in there. And that's going to be a lot of damage this late in game. Unfortunately for the Ayla, picking up Rip Apart Bear, and I'm sorry, I can't agree with a Rip Apart Bear pick in any situation. It's just not worth it in this situation, especially when the Eulip has so much way to heal. And even more so when she has, you know, regen and pills. Rage Eye, though, in this situation, that's going to be useful. That's going to be useful for the Ayla. It lets her chase and actually initiate way easier. And it's going to allow the Eulip a bit of easy room because he's not going to have to get as close to hopefully not set up something. Maybe instead of... No, sorry, maybe... I don't know, wait, no, that was the last eye upgrade, wasn't it? Oh, right, yeah. I'm not used to seeing such a hardcore eye build. I apologize.
Flock of seagulls incoming.
Yeah, maybe like, you know, getting a bit of initiation into it, it's gonna be really easy for the Eulip to actually get in there. Rocco finally picking up pills, and Mikaru, oddly enough, with Endless Quiver. I'm not gonna really agree with Mikaru in this situation. Not Mikaru, I'm sorry. Endless Quiver in this situation, but it makes sense as to why he would. You know, does he have regen? Yes, he does have both stages of regen, so he wants to go for that team fight presence, and I get why. You know, it's gonna be quite hard for him to actually get the team fight presence out. Ayla, unfortunately, getting away after blowing both initiations on her, you know, the tongue and the pulse, it's an unfortunate state of events, but that's why Ayla does that, especially when she has, you know, 3-wheel strike. Rocco with a really nice arrow that might actually set up the Leon for a kill if he's not careful. But with a really nice chase tongue, if anything, to actually hopefully win the fight against, unfortunately, Penny getting hit by the eye, making, you know, back off. Leon picking up chainsaw add-on at this point in the game. I'm not sure I'll agree with it, but it's going to be useful for his team fight damage, as most of these things are. Penny, unfortunately, getting a bit fucked here. Let's have a quick look here. Where's this Penny at? Oh, oh no, that's forward, my bad. Penny, so she's fighting with the Ksenia, and then, unfortunately, the Ksenia had to back off because she was low on it, so Ksenia made the right move there, backing off out of that fight. I'm not even sure if the Penny could. One more time, I would like to just check the Penny's cooldowns. Unfortunately, no, she did not have a pounce to actually get out of this situation. So, unfortunately, that's going to be, you know, a death for her. At this point in the game, Rocco is becoming quite a nuisance. I would recommend picking up BKM at this point in the game. If anything, just to deal with the two slows of the enemy team, you know, the Aloy and the Rocco slow, it's gonna be more it's gonna help a little bit. The Penny might have actually been able to win that fight with BKM just due to being able to move slightly faster and get another auto win. Does Penny have auto damage? No, she doesn't, unfortunately. Leon picking up boots at this point in the game doesn't really make sense. You can just get Baguette and actually have a better effect. Maybe pick up Surprise Party Mask as well, and then suddenly you're going to be able to gank way more effectively. You know, taking speed and taking... Unfortunately for Leon, engaging accidentally right into the entire team, but it actually might work out with the Ayla almost dying from that fight. But unfortunately, Penny and Leon just too low to continue to capitalize on it, unlike Ksenia, who just dodged them from the force. Ayla finally building Thief Tools. At this point, she's just ending off her build. You know, there's not much else Ayla can really do in this situation. At most, you could take SLD, but that's about it. You know, you can always, you know, build a third utility, you know, over Thief Tools. Thief Tools doesn't really make the most amount of sense. It's not an amazing upgrade. You know, it's 11%, it's a 22% total upgrade at the end of the day. But, you know, maybe the Ayla thinks she needs it. Yeah, maybe with the life steal, she wants to get a bit more life steal going. You know, it would make sense. But I'm not sure why she would take it in this exact situation. Yulip, unfortunately, setting a really bad eye for himself there. That may actually result in his death. It depends on where this Leon goes, but unfortunately, the Penny might actually be able to do it herself. And she does. She picks it up with the pounce. Let me just have a quick look back here as to where blue team was. So they were fighting the Ayla up top. I really think they might have left her, to be honest. But in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The Ayla did get away with no health. Yeah, the Ayla unfortunately gets away with no health. But I do think they should have really dropped her and just went for the Yulip. You know, he was more of an oppressive target than the Ayla. You know, he's the one setting up team fights for them. You know, Ayla is just there to finish him off. It's just the nature of Ayla. You know, she sets up team fights. But unfortunately, blue team actually does get the kill on Ayla and is now pushing red team's base. Once they got their builds up, blue team really got, you know, a foot in the game. Leon actually building up his damage, Penny building up her, you know, damage as well, you know, just damage. It really helped blue team break this comp in team fights. Unfortunately, they did have to back off, but that's the nature of the game. Leave a trail of caltrops. I read this and I was like, excuse my bad. Getting caltrops this late in the game, it makes sense to be honest. Well, it doesn't really make sense. It really doesn't actually. If anything, I would take... Right, like, so you got Silence Duration, right? I would take Vanish Duration. You know, like, Vanish Duration is quite a useful upgrade, you know? It lets you actually stay invisible for quite a long time. You know, especially on a comp like this, it gives you more time to set up. Unfortunately for the Ksenia, though, she did unfortunately get gazed. So it did result in her death just from the dot. Leon finally picking up extra battery pack. I'm not sure at this point in the game if it's going to be really that useful. Like, it's more so a clone push thing, but at this point, I don't think it's going to be worth it. Maybe I'm still thinking you should have taken Surprise Party Mask, maybe taking Breadstick. You know, it just many items on the same road that would be a little bit better. Playing a bit of a hit and run style there, as you can see. Leon just, engaging the rocket and then immediately backing out because he knew he was going to, you know, win that fight. He knew he was going to live that fight because it was a 1v3 that he just happened to pick one out of. Penny picking up Zurian Mechanic and Photovoltaic Lightning Charger. She wants to get in there with pounces, but it's not something that she can really do in this situation. Get pouncing into the situation is going to be incredibly difficult. At most, pouncing is going to be a really effective finisher or team fight initiation. But even the initiation part is going to be quite hard for her to actually work with, just due to, you know, pouncing in and then suddenly you gaze, pouncing in and then suddenly your eye, pouncing in and then suddenly you're getting vengeance. And unfortunately for the blue team, actually it does look like red team is about to make a comeback just due to superior team fight potential in the form of Yulip, and, you know, just the entire team on red is very team fight heavy. You know, you got Rocco with the really good DPS being spat out everywhere, you got Yulip with the really road initiations and team fight winners in the form of gains, and Ayla with the really big power. And unfortunately that's gonna be game for the red team. They do take it back in the end. Could blue team win it? I think they could have if they invested more in CC early. You know, Leon picking up Sod's tongue mints at that time was very good. I think Penny maybe picking up Sentient Rock instead of maybe, I don't know, maybe before pills, maybe instead of Chain Bike Lock. Just basically building pounce in that situation was really suicide, to be honest. You know, you pounce in, or hell, even you try and back pounce someone or vortex pounce someone or whatever you want to call it. you know, it's still going to get you a bit too close that you want to be to the enemy team. At most, that would be effective on Rocco, and even then, you know, he's got Stim Stash, he's got Nicotine Patches, and he's got Quick Draw Bow and Mikaru, so it's going to be even harder to kill with Vengeance on. It's just not a great idea to be building into Pounce, against this sort of comp. Maybe, you know, a little bit later into the game when you've got a bit of footing under you, where you can actually go for these a bit more aggressive plays, but when you're still trying to actually regain control, and to be fair, Blue Team did take control for about a minute and a half at the end of the game there, but unfortunately, they did have to bail back, and it gave Red Team the chance to recuperate and push forward. I really think that Penny building Silence a bit early, maybe just building Pulse in general a bit early would have been good. Ksenia, what was her build? It started out quite scissored focus, you know, she got damage, got the Bobcat, she got the slowing. Taking Lifesteal, not the worst upgrade, but I'm not entirely sure why she would take it right at that moment. And then building into Silence Duration. Silence Duration would have been really useful in this situation. You know, it was good for her team. You know, it just let them, you know, have a bit more freedom when it came to silences being put out there. Virtual Girl, you know, it's a good upgrade. I'm not gonna sadly agree though with Caltropes in this situation. It just doesn't seem to be worth it. You know, it's just like, right, so you're fighting, you know, Rocco, Julep, and Ayla. It's like, well, what are you gonna do with Caltropes? They're gonna slow him slightly, sure, but they're still probably gonna actually win the team fight, not even because of the slowing, like, not really affecting them. It's gonna affect them, sure, but it's not gonna be, you know, the team fight winner. I still think maybe, Vanish Duration, that was the word, I apologize, you know, would have been maybe a bit better. Let our team, give our team a bit more breathing room for initiations, for Kazim being able to have more time to get into a better position for her silence play. Those are my thoughts. If you disagree with them, you know, tell me down below. If you agree with them, I don't know why. But yeah, thanks, Penny, for sending in the replay. And I hope anybody else who wants to have a replay, you know, looked at on the show, would like to send one in. Thanks, guys. I've been Blue. And welcome to the first episode of CastNauts.